Welcome back. Born to British parents in Kolkata 2 decades and a half after India's independence, Jillian Haslam, along with her parents and siblings, spent their childhood destitute, homeless, persecuted in the streets of Kolkata and saw extreme hunger, disease and death. But what kept Jillian and her family going were acts of kindness by the poorest of the poor who were as desperate as they were. Now, Jillian Haslam has described her life in her memoirs titled Indian English. Here's a short conversation with Jillian Haslam. Jillian Haslam belongs to one such family who post-independence decided to stay back in India. Jillian was born in Calcutta and spent most of her childhood fraught with hardship. But she took her hardship as a challenge and rose above it. Now she's written an autobiography on her experiences called Indian English. From being nobody to somebody, the autobiography will tell you what an incredible journey Jillian Haslam set out for herself. Jillian, thank you very much for speaking to us. Tell us about your stay in India and what challenges you faced. It's remarkable how you rose above those challenges, and now you're helping poorest of the poor, the most needy people.
Yeah, our early lives in Calcutta was unreal, really. Will seem unreal to many people all over the world. We were poorer than the poorest of the poor. As far back as I can remember, we were homeless, so we stayed behind people's houses, under their steps, on their verandas, on plastic sheets, shielding ourselves from the rain and so on. As is depicted in the cover of my book, that's where we lived for many months. Then we lived in a proper slum, where approximately close to 3,000 people shared 3 toilets. We lost 4 siblings before the age of 6 months to malnutrition, poverty, hunger. We almost lost the 5th sibling, which is a miracle in itself. We were trained to starve. We starved for days on end. And it was a very, very difficult childhood.
All right. Also, Jillian, in your autobiography, Indian English, you've spoken about for every atrocity there was a parallel of kindness.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be here in front of you if there wasn't. And that's why I owe everything in me and every ounce in me back to this country. That's how I feel, and I can't help that. That is just something that has happened emotionally, neurologically, whichever way you'd like to position it. That is what I feel. When my 5th sibling was dying, she was brought home and the doctors had given up on her. We felt as though the world had given up on us, the country had given up on us. The doctor had definitely given up on her because my mom said she had 3 days to live. My mom, in a way, had given up because she was tired. She had lost too many children. She was badly malnourished herself. And we had no electricity. We had no water. It was a small, very dark room, like I've described it. It felt like the black hole of Calcutta. It was as though everything was just crushing down and coming down on us with just this little one who wasn't expected to live. And we were supposed to watch her and say, that's okay. Yes, she's the 5th. She's not expected to live, so what? No. It's that time that little tea shop by the corner, I ran to him with a little steel bowl, and in front of me he diluted milk with a whole bucket of water. But he gave me that little milk every single day, and that little milk is in which I mixed the little powders that the doctor gave us, and that saved her life. How can you not be grateful for that? If those people didn't love us, honestly, genuinely love us, we wouldn't be alive today, Nancy. How could we?
Right. Also, Jillian, during your stay in India, you had gone through a lot with no food, no water, no place to live, your parents' bad health, and the treatment meted out to you because of the way you dressed or the way you spoke. But now today, you still chose back to come to India, and you're helping and reaching out to the children, the underprivileged children here.
Yes, because, I say this and I try to say this everywhere I go, I did not write the book because I wanted people to know my story. There are thousands of people all over the world who have sad stories. The idea of writing the story is primarily to get people to understand that you can change your circumstances. As Maya Angelou said, I can be changed by my circumstances, but I refuse to be reduced by it. And that is what the message I want people to get from that book. I want people to look at me as a role model. Go and look at the place under the stairs where I live. Go and look at the slum. It's still there. I took pictures on it this very trip. And understand that you yourself have to make that decision. And once you do, you can create any amount of wealth or any amount of success, and you can do anything you want to do. In my case, I'm passionate about changing lives. If that's what you want to do, you can do that. But you first have to make that decision. You know, I do believe, irrespective of what religion you are, God has given you two very precious gifts. One, a human brain. As we Christians say, He's created us in His own image. So there you go, you have the human brain. And secondly, it's the power of choice. You have the power of choice. If you believe that that is your fate and God wants that of you, then you will remain there and you will never get out. But if you make a decision that, no, I'm not going to accept this. You know, William Barclay said a wonderful thing. He said, endurance is not just the ability to bear a hard thing, but to turn it into glory. So, yes, many people starve and many people lived with us and many people live like this all over the world every day. You know, we watch the television. But it's when you can take it and use your past or use your circumstances and turn it into glory is when people want to know. And that's what I want every little girl and boy to aspire to do, to turn their circumstances and to turn all their hardship into glory.
Jillian Haslam, pleasure talking to you. We wish you all the very best for your future endeavor.
Thank you very much.
With camera person Ganeshi Lal, Nancy Kohli, Doordarshan.